friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. If I sound a little stuffy today, it's because the pollen count is very, very high and I have runny nose and itchy watery eyes. Not sick, just a little bit stuffed up. But as always, any recipes that I mention will be linked in the description box down below. I've got a few new things to share with you as well as some family favorites. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Starting off with Friday night, I made a taco style hamburger helper pasta in one pot. So I did this the way I do all of my one pot hamburger helper type meals, starting off by browning some ground beef. But for this one, since it's going to be taco flavored, I used some taco seasoning, a little bit of onion salt, a little bit of salt and pepper, and some garlic powder. And then I just used my little meat chopper and cooked up my ground beef until it was fully browned. Then if you have a lot of grease, you can drain that off, but I was using pretty lean ground beef, so I just left it as it was. And I added in 1 can of Rotel that I drained and then a little bit more taco seasoning. And then for liquid, I did 1 cup of beef broth, 1 cup of milk, and 1.5 cups of water. And then I'm going to also add in some pasta. I used 2 cups of some elbow noodles, but you could use any pasta you want. And then I'm going to bring this to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, then I just reduce the heat down to a medium low and put a lid on this and let it cook for about 10 minutes until the noodles were tender. After the 10 minutes, I took the lid off and tasted my noodles just to make sure they were perfectly done, and they were. So then I stirred in a package of Velveeta cheese sauce. You don't have to do this. You could just use shredded cheese if you want, but I had the Velveeta cheese sauce, so I used that. And then I also added in some shredded cheese. I used some cheddar and then also some Mexican blend and just stirred that all around until it was nice and melted. And this is what it looks like. I actually let this sit for 5 more minutes on low heat and then it'll thicken up a little bit. You don't have to do that though, but the sauce will thicken if you let it sit for a few minutes. And this was all we had for dinner this night. It turned out great. I think this was the first time I just kind of winged it and made my own taco pasta like this versus following a recipe. I just kind of did it the way I do my other hamburger helper pastas and it turned out great. Saturday night we did pizza. So I bought this dough at Trader Joe's. I'm just using one of their regular ones and then one of their garlic and herb ones. And I like to first spray my pizza pan with a little bit of olive oil cooking spray and then I put some cornmeal on there. It just helps the pizza not stick to the pan. And since my pans have holes in them, I always put a piece of parchment paper down underneath so it makes cleanup a little bit easier. So just stretch my dough out onto my pan, and this one I'm actually doing stuffed crust pizza, so I'm taking some mozzarella sticks and folding them under the crust so we get a little stuffed crust pizza. And then I'm going to poke it with a fork a little bit to pop any air bubbles, and then I put it in the oven on 450 and I do it 4 minutes to kind of par bake the crust. And then I'm doing the same thing with the other one, but I'm not making this one into a stuffed crust pizza. After it has par-baked for 4 minutes, then you're going to top it with whatever toppings you want. I'm doing some marinara sauce and then some mozzarella cheese and then a little bit of cheddar cheese. And then this is the stuffed crust pizza. And on this one, we just did some ham. And then on the other one, when it comes out, it's going to get some marinara sauce, the rest of the cheddar that I had shredded, and then a bunch of mozzarella and then pepperonis. And I'm also going to brush the crust on both of these with some of the Chef Shammy's garlic butter. And since the garlic and herb pizza doesn't have cheese in the crust, I also sprinkled it with some Parmesan cheese. And then both of these went back in the oven on 450 for 8 to 10 minutes. And here is what they looked like when they came out of the oven. The stuffed crust pizza, the cheese from the crust leaked out a little bit. I didn't seal it very well, but it still turned out great. Both of them were delicious, and to go with it, we either had some fresh veggies or a salad on the side. Sunday night, we just had burgers, and I do my burgers really simple. So I just take my about pound and a half of ground beef and patty them out into burgers and then season both sides with some salt and pepper. I grew up having burgers that were like more like a meatloaf. We put egg in them and like breadcrumbs and stuff, and I never really liked it. And just in my opinion, burgers really don't need all of that. They just need some simple salt and pepper. You could throw on a little bit of garlic powder if you want it to taste garlicky, but really salt and pepper and a good hot like grill or cast iron is all that you need. So once I have these all pattied out and seasoned with salt and pepper, then I've got my cast iron skillet, like it's been heating up while I'm patting these out, and I put in a little bit of bacon grease, and I cook these for about 5 minutes per side, only flipping one time so they can get a nice good like crispy exterior. And then once they're done, I just top them with some cheese, turn the heat down to low, and let that cheese melt. And then you can just serve them with whatever you want. You could do bacon if you want bacon. I did not pull out bacon this time, but tomato, lettuce, ketchup, mustard, mayo, whatever you want. And then we also did some fries and pickles and sliced tomato on the side. Monday night, I made angel pork chops. This is a crock pot recipe, and we've done it with pork chops and with chicken multiple times. We love this recipe. So in this bowl, I've got 4 ounces of cream cheese. I'm doing whipped cream cheese just because it was cheap, and then 3 tablespoons of butter. And I put that in the microwave for about 30 seconds just to kind of melt the butter and soften the cream cheese a little bit more. And then I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth and mixing that together with 1 packet of Italian dressing mix. Now, if you're making the recipe the right way, you would also add 1 can of cream of chicken soup at this point too, and whisk that together. For some reason, I forgot about the can of cream of chicken soup until later, but it ended up turning out fine. But you do typically want to add that with everything else at the beginning. Then in my crock pot, I've got some pork chops. They are like boneless pork chops. Got those in there, and I'm just going to pour that mixture over top of them and then set this to low for about 8 hours. Now, when I come home, I'm looking at it, I'm stirring it up, and I'm like, why does this look so thin? I've made this many times. It's not supposed to be this thin. And then it hit me. I forgot the can of cream of chicken soup. So I'm going to go in and take out my pork chops and then whisk in that can of cream of chicken soup. Put the pork chops back in and just let it sit for 10 minutes so that it can get warmed through. It turned out just the same as it usually does, even with forgetting the can of cream of chicken soup till the end. And while that was just sitting on warm in the crock pot, I cooked up a box of angel hair pasta because we just serve this over the angel hair pasta, and that's why it's called angel pork chops. The sauce for this is delicious, and we've made it multiple times, and we highly recommend this recipe. This was on a martial arts night, so we came home. It was almost 8 o'clock, so I didn't make anything else to go with this. We just had the pork chops over angel hair pasta. Tuesday night, I made shrimp fried rice, which I've shared multiple times. We make shrimp fried rice all the time, but I am trying this new sauce from Trader Joe's. Well, it's new to me. It's the Trader Joe's soyaki, and I'm going to marinate my shrimp in it for a little bit. I didn't think about doing this until later in the day, so my shrimp only marinated for about 20 minutes. So I just poured some of that sauce in there, made sure they were all coated, and then let them sit in the fridge for about 20 minutes to just kind of marinate. If you have longer, you can do this earlier in the day, but I did not think about it. So then after they had marinated for a little bit, I poured off some of the excess liquid, and then I dumped my shrimp into a skillet and just let those cook until they were done. Once my shrimp was done, I removed them from the pan, and then to that same pan, I'm adding a little bit of vegetable oil and a little bit of sesame oil, and then I'm adding some white parts of the green onion, and then I'm also adding in my cold cooked white rice. I do like 2 cups of white rice that I cook in the Instant Pot and then let it get cold before I cook this. And then I'm also going to season it up with a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder, and then just toss that around until it starts to get warm and everything is like coated with that oil. Then I'm going to go in with a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of hoisin sauce and a little bit of oyster sauce. Definitely do more soy sauce than the other two. The other two have like a slightly sweet flavor, and I do not do very much of either one of those at all, but it does give it some more flavor versus just using soy sauce. So then once I have that all in there, then I'm going to add in about 3/4 of a cup of some frozen mixed vegetables, and then I pour a little bit of soy sauce on those. It kind of helps like steam them on the side, and then I'm going to mix those in with the rest of the rice, and then push the rice back to one side, and then add in 4 eggs that I've already like scrambled in a measuring cup with some salt and pepper, and I pour those in that one side that I have empty, and then I put a lid on this and let those eggs just like cook to the side before I mix them in with the rice. Once the eggs are done, I just mix them into the rice mixture, and then you can taste this, see if you need to add more soy sauce, sesame oil, whatever, and then you can also add in your shrimp. I ended up adding in a little bit more sesame oil. I wanted a little bit more of that flavor, and then that was it. This was ready to eat. I like to top mine with green onion. You could top it with sesame seeds, green onion, a little bit more sauce if you want to, but that was it. My fried rice is quick and easy and delicious. Wednesday night we had French onion chicken noodle casserole. I cannot remember if I made this before. I feel like I have, but I cannot remember for sure. So I'm starting off by cooking up some chicken breast in the air fryer. Anytime I need like cooked chicken and I don't want to use canned chicken, this is how I cook up my chicken. So I went ahead and like sprayed the air fryer basket with some olive oil cooking spray, and then I'm seasoning this chicken breast on both sides with some garlic powder, onion salt, salt and pepper, and some paprika. And then I'm going to stick it in the air fryer on 375 for about 25 minutes, flipping halfway through. At the end, you just want to check the temperature and make sure that it is cooked all the way through. And then I let it cool for about 5 minutes, and then I chopped it into bite-sized pieces. While my chicken was cooking, I brought a pot of salted water to a boil to cook up 1 bag of egg noodles according to the package directions. Then in a large bowl, I'm going to mix together 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, 1 16-ounce container of sour cream, 1 package of Lipton onion soup mix. The recipe calls for just some French onion dip, but you can make your own French onion dip with sour cream and Lipton onion soup mix, so that is what I did. And then I'm also going to shred up some cheddar cheese. It said a cup. I probably did more, so I just shredded up a bunch of it. And then I'm also going to mix in my chopped up cooked chicken as well. Then I'm going to spray a 9 by 13 inch pan with some cooking spray, and then add in my cooked pasta, and then that soup mixture I'm going to pour over the top of the pasta and then mix it as best as I can. And then I topped this with some extra shredded cheese. The recipe didn't call for this, but I thought it needed some more cheese on top, so I did that, and then I sprinkled it with some of the French fried onions, and then this went into the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And here's what that looked like all plated up. I think if you like onion soup mix and those French fried onions, that you would like this recipe. We all loved it. And finally, the last meal of the week, we had some lemon pepper chicken thighs and potatoes, and then some green beans on the side. So I'm starting off here with probably about 1.5 pounds of some potatoes that I cut up into bite-sized pieces. I put on some olive oil and then a squeeze of lemon juice, and then I did some onion salt, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and then some of the lemon pepper seasoning. I have the Kinder's brand, the no salt one, so that's why I had to add some additional salt. I got those coated really well, and then I put them on a sheet pan that I lined with some parchment paper. I put them to one side because I'm going to put my chicken thighs on the other side. And then I did the exact same thing with my chicken thighs, used the same exact seasonings, just a little bit more of it, and then I put those on the sheet pan as well. And then I had some sliced lemon that I placed on top of the chicken, and then I did like half a stick of butter that I sliced up and put that over on the chicken as well. Then this went in the oven on 425, and I let this bake for 45 minutes. About halfway through, I went in and tossed my potatoes, and just to kind of like flip them over so they could get crispy a little bit. They didn't get too crispy because you have all the juices from the chicken like running over to them, but it did kind of help it a little bit. And then at the very end, the last like 5 minutes, I turned the oven to broil to kind of cook off some of that liquid and get the potatoes a little bit crispy, because you'll notice my lemons got a little bit burnt, but it still tasted delicious. And then to go with this, we just had some canned green beans that I cooked up the same way that I always do. This was good, quick and easy sheet pan dinner. Not much to it at all. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you got some new ideas of some things to try, let me know in the comments down below what you plan on trying. And if you made it here all the way to the end, make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji in the comments as well. I hope you have a great week, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye!